Well, thank you everybody for coming here tonight. I am so excited because this evening we get to interview Pauline Reedner. And Pauline is a special individual, a really special person. And I can attest to that because she is a person that made my life change in an instant. When I met her and her friend Arnell Larson at a horse show, we'll talk about that a little bit later because I think some people know my story. My name is Lisa Lounsbury, and they just proceeded to be so kind and change my life in an instant. And here I am because of them. So I want to get to Pauline's story because it's quite remarkable. She's a dynamic person, she's a personal coach. She has a lot of experience in the direct selling industry. She also is such a unique individual in a well rounded way because that apparatus that you see behind her, her plane, she actually has built that. I mean, how remarkable is that? I mean, anybody can ride in a plane, sure. And maybe you can try to fly a plane, but build a plane? I mean, that is incredible. So she has a lot more attributes to her name. She leads with her heart in everything that she does. And I'm really so proud and thankful to call her my friend. So, Pauline, thank you tonight for coming on to share your remarkable story.
Well, thank you, Lisa. I'm really happy to be here. And two hearts know each other because you have a big, huge heart. So, yes, I appreciate you. And yeah, so I was introduced to LifeWave by Arnell. I guess it's about over 3 years ago. And my 4 years, 5? Oh my gosh, I thought it was okay. Time flies when you're building an airplane. so so I had met Arnell, and I had been through a couple bad car accidents 10 years prior where I was rear-ended twice in a year. So I had a lot of agony in the lower back and the neck, and then my husband suggested that we couldn't find an airplane that we really liked. So he says, let's just build one. And I was like, okay, let's just build an airplane. Like, let's people do that all the day, all the time. So it doesn't seem that big of a deal. So, but I was having a really hard time with my hand. I was in a lot of agony. It was in the morning, I couldn't straighten my finger, and it was causing a lot of pain. And I'm into all natural things. So I had been to many, you know, natural doctors, chiropractors, just fix me up. I got this big mission, and I'm the one who's holding the rivet gun for putting all the rivets on the airplane. And there's 18,000 rivets on this airplane, which is a good thing because you want lots of rivets. No, it's really safe and strong. But I was like, there's no way. There's no way I'm going to be able to do this. So thankfully, Arnell came at the right time, the right place, and introduced me to LifeWave. And I thought, hey, I'm open to this because I was already told by a surgeon that, yeah, you're going to have surgery. And I was like, I don't want surgery. So it took me probably about 8 weeks where it was like I could feel after 2 weeks, I was like, okay, it's not quite as bad. And then 8 weeks for me was the number. And it was just like, whoa, it's like I'm moving it. And it's like, this is so great. So thank you, Arnell, who's here tonight also, because yeah, it's just been amazing. So 4 years later, the airplane, as you can see, is complete. My husband and I both, I mean, he never misses a day without his patches either, and it's helped him a lot too. So we're just so grateful. And yeah, now we're flying.
Wow, that is so great. And you came recently to Chilliwack and we went for
Yes.
lunch. It was kind of fun. I just thought this is really funky. We just met at the airport and we didn't have time for the famous pie, but we did have a nice lunch together with your other friends. And I have to tell you that Pauline doesn't not a bragger, but she is the president of the Vernon Flying Club. And, I think that is really, really powerful and really, really wonderful. So we were just reviewing before this interview, and I said, can you believe this? Years later, because when I met you, it was July 2022. And Arnell and you were sitting behind me at this horse show, whispering, I wonder if we should help this lady. And you introduced me to the patches, both of you. And you were so kind. And I always say at that time, I was so groany and moany. I thought maybe you were just patching me to shut me up. But it worked. You shut me up. It was great. Immediately, my arm was better. And so, here we are, so really, it's now what are we, April 2025. And we've been walking this journey, and I know a lot of people on this call have, and we're just about to get into this massive momentum, which is really, really exciting. I think the world is going to start to know what we finally have, finally what we have our hands on. And I know for you, now you've done something, you were just explaining that you can actually get your hands around something to go out and do some different things. So what kind of things are you able to do now, and how have you been inspired by the patches, and how's that changed your life for you?
Well, after the airplane build, so I do coaching and of course my LifeWave business, but I'm an A personality. I have to be doing something all the time. So I was like, okay, now what do I do? So last year I went out and bought myself a piano. I took piano lessons like 40 years ago, and I was like, I miss that. So I got a piano. I'm playing piano because I can do it now. And I started golf lessons last night. That's going to be another story. But hey, you know what? I'm just doing the do, and I'm learning. I'm taking ground school. I'm going to learn how to fly that baby right behind me there because it's important. So, what I've really noticed too with the patches is taking ground school, learning all so much about like flying and like weather. I mean, you got to know engine, you got to know clouds, you got to know so much stuff. And I just turned 62 and I feel sharper, way sharper than I ever have, seriously. And, I have friends who are like, oh, that brain fog. I'm like, I have no idea what that is because I don't have it. So I know that that's the patches for sure.
And I'm looking at you, and you do not look 62. You look fantastic. You really, really do.
Thank
And
you.
one of the great things too is that, and I've noticed this with a lot of women that are, in our age range. I'm close to the 60 mark, but our lips start to get really thin. And I've noticed that your lips are quite voluptuous. And I've noticed that a lot of women are saying that their lips are filling in. And I think that that's really, really fantastic. Do you notice a difference in your skin and anything else like scars or anything on your body? What have you noticed over these past few years? Because you've been on the product for a while now.
Yes, I have. So, yeah, my lips are natural. As a kid, I always had like, I always thought my lips were huge, but now I guess it's to my advantage. But maybe they have plumped up. I know when I was in California with you, Lisa, at our boot camp, I was with two of my brand partners, and we were looking at photos because I said, you know what? I think my eyes aren't as droopy as they used to be, the eyelids. And we started looking at photos, and I was like, I started laughing, going, oh my goodness. Like when you do look back, it's like, oh yeah, subtle little things. So that's a big thing. And hair growth, I have new hair growth all the time. And skin, yeah, skin.
That is so great because those are the little things that we don't realize. And I've been finding that with a lot of people that have been reporting back to me what's been happening with them. Now I have one very serious, serious phrase, and people might want to write this down, take note. Yes, are you ready? Take pictures of all the googlies. That's the advice. Every little googly. And I had one lady that said, well, I don't know if I don't know if I can take a picture of all the googlies. I said, well, I think your husband might want to help you out with that. He's quite resistant to the patches. And I said, once he takes the googlies and doesn't see the googlies, maybe he'll be excited. So, I mean, scars or any raised bumps or even any age spots, because I'm finding people are reporting back that that's changing for them. What are some of the things, because you've been helping people for a while now and you've been sharing for a while, what are some of the things that you've had people report back to you?
Oh, definitely that energy. Energy is like way up there. My husband too, like he says he's really good about patching every day. But once in a while, I'm like, did you he'll come in and he's like kind of a little sluggish. I'm like, did you patch up today? He goes, "Oh, I didn't." And it's right away I notice. And I notice in myself too. I very rarely miss a day, but it you do notice a difference. So energy's huge. So my own personal testimonials. Last night was my first golf lesson in like I've been a beginner golfer for 20 years, but I have not hit a golf club for 5 because my hand and stuff. So when I got home last night, I thought, oh, I'm gonna be really sore tomorrow. And I did ice wave under my feet before bed and an Eon. And I was up at 6 o'clock, which I normally am. And I was like, ooh, am I going to get out of bed? I was kind of like, oh, I hope I can get out of bed. It was like, boom, I felt so good. So that was a huge testimony for myself yesterday. Yeah.
That's so great, and I think that, well, I know that there was a time when we didn't have the patches in Canada and we felt it.
We feel
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, we've got your Canadian flag, our Canadian flag, for those Americans that are on or that are going to watch, welcome. But in Canada, we had a moment where we weren't able to get them. We had to have David got his legal team on it, and he got a natural product number and took care of it. So we're solid. But I mean, we really missed that. I mean, we felt it. Do you remember those days?
I do. And I was just speaking with a lady yesterday regarding a new prospect. And she said, well, do you have to keep wearing them forever? And I said, well, I do. And I can certainly tell you what it's like once you know how awesome they are. And then you don't wear them for, a while. I said, yeah, I would never be without. So totally remember
Yeah.
those days. Yeah.
It's so true. And it's funny what I say to people now is I'm like, well, you don't know what you don't know, but then you can't unsee what you just saw. Once you try the patches, then you're just like, okay, well, that's it. And I had somebody phone me and a person that started with the patches, and she was just like, "Grr, Lisa." And I said, what? And she goes, oh, I just watched about the water machine and now I have to do this. I'm compelled to do it. Thanks a lot. And when she saw the science behind it, when she saw what was happening, I thought, yeah, I have to share. And so now she's cursing my name and kissing me at the same time. But what are your thoughts about all of the things that are coming down the pipe?
Very exciting. Just bring it on. Yep, I'm ready.
And I wanna say, thank you, Pauline and Arnell. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be sitting in the space that I am right now. I've been so fortunate to have my own repair going on and to be able to extend and reach out and help all these other people, bringing the light into their lives. So it started with you, and I even brought my tissue today, and I haven't even cried, not even once, and I'm known as a big old baby. So this is a big day. Maybe the patches are kicking in with the Eon, huh?
Well, we can make you shed some tears, and we can play with that, no problem.
It's a true story. It doesn't take much. I'm a bit of a mush. But what would you advise people that are maybe taking a look at this for the first time or that are, kind of feeling things out and might think this seems too good to be true? What would your advice be to them?
Well, I guess I'm one of those people that says, you know what? What's there to lose? Like, try it. Just try it and see how it works for you. I'm sure glad that but I always say I'm an easy person to say try something because I'm very open to, trying new things. And so I would just say try it, right? I mean, it's a great product and you have to give it some time, right? That's the thing too. I always tell people if they, Lisa, you had amazing results and a lot of people do immediately. Some people it takes longer. We don't see what's going on inside. But for me, with my 8 weeks with my finger, it was working. And I didn't realize it was working until all of a sudden, wow. So give it a try. Yes.
And how long was your finger in that state before you tried it?
Oh, it was probably good, definitely over a year. Yeah. I,
Okay, yeah,
and it just progressively got worse. And I don't know how he injured it or whatever, but it was probably a good year. So yeah. And then
and
you
so
become to live with it, right? You're like, it's just like after my two car accidents, I was like, okay, well, yeah, I have agony there. I guess that's just gonna have to live with it. And so it was just so nice to have a solution and a natural solution that's not, swallowing pills and, affecting my body in other ways, which is, yeah. People still,
absolutely.
people still, if I go for my once a year medical, it's like, are you on any medicine? Are you on any prescriptions? It's like, no. It's just like they look at you like, what? You're that age and you're not on anything. I'm like, just my patches and, my little miracle patches.
That's fantastic. And what about your back? When you think back to the things that you couldn't do, when you think back to the agony that you were in, what were some of your restrictions when you look at your daily life? From the minute your feet hit the floor in the morning and you walked your walk during the day, can you paint a picture for us on that?
Oh, yeah. Well, I love my workouts and my Pilates. And so it was always like, give it some time before I could actually really get moving. It was a lot of pain, a lot of agony. Yeah.
That's okay. We give forgiveness and we say we're not doctors and medical professionals and we don't say diseases. So we're not making any claims in this space and you're totally protected and okay.
Yes. But no, I can do so much more now. So that's amazing. Getting in the back, well, it's a four-seater airplane, but the way the wings are and how the doors open, you have to be very flexible to be able to get in. Once you're in, it's super comfy and like heated seats and lots of leg room. So I need to stay very flexible to be able to get in and out and, maneuver because we have some long trips planned. So yeah, so that's a huge thing for me is yes, being able to get in and move around and not feel, yeah.
That's awesome to have such a great quality of life and to be able to enjoy it because you can have all the toys, right? People have a lot of toys and a lot of things in their life, but if you do not have that mobility and that health, and you don't know until you're debilitated with something. And then it's annoying, somebody might be like, oh, well, her finger was kind of stuck and trapped in this space. Well, try getting dressed, try opening a jar, try using the rivet machine. And I want to see something on your Facebook or something with that girl with that
I have the
what's her name?
shirt. I have the shirt. Rosie the
Do
Riveter,
you,
the big strong. Yes, I have that shirt. I got
Rosie?
the t-shirt. Yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Is there anything else that you'd like before we close off and we invite people to ask questions? Would you like to say anything in closing?
Well, I just have to say that not only for my husband, myself, but we have a herd of animals. We have two miniature ponies, two standard poodles, two cats, and a 30-year-old parrot. And they all get patched. So, yeah, it's awesome. The whole family is patched.
Yeah, those little miniature ponies, they are so cute. I love that. And you've got quite the, fur family going on. So it's nice that you've got the longevity for them. And like Tina Coulter, our equine therapist in our group, she used it on her horse as well. And a great example of, how we can keep our pets around for longer and love them for longer.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Pauline. I think that we will open it up for discussion and questions, and we really appreciate you sharing your experience.
Thanks for having me share.
You're welcome.